What's up, guys? This is Chronically Tilted Poker, no longer Beast Poker. I decided to change my name because I said Chronically Tilted last night while playing in reference to Rampage Poker, who is another vlogger, and he punts nonstop these days. Once upon a time, he was a good player. He's not a good player anymore. And I think it's a little bit more creative name. Will be a little bit more catchy over time. Beast Poker's kind of, It was good for the deck of cards that I had coming out, but now it's a YouTube channel. So, talking about the 5-2 game from last night, my first session of the week. It's going to be one of 6 in a row, maybe. And I was down $50 over about 5 hours. Started with 1-3 for the first hour while waiting for a seat at 2-5. I won about 200 up, or about 200 up, because I got a huge river bluff through. Played pretty well, pretty clean. Then I went to 2-5 and I ran kind of cold and had a couple spots that I missed bluffs or value on the river. So clearly my river game and turn game was not great last night. And I'm going to grade myself as maybe a C on an A to F scale on how I play. And what I want to do is add a C game analysis. It's like a running journal of my C game. So that every time I play my C game, I can see what it looks like, and I compare previous C games to future C games. And so the C game is what comes out 50% of the time. I'm a worse player for sure when I'm playing my C game than my A game. I think at 2-5 I'm about a break-even player when I'm playing my C game. And when I bring the analysis in, I can see what I've gotten better at. Like, so say for example, I played C game last night, and looking at my pre-flop specifically, I was pretty clean. I mean, I was not sharp overall, but my default pre-flop game is pretty clean. 3 bets at a good frequency. I play GTO pretty well. Don't get in tough spots because I know what I'm doing. The difference between my pre-flop C game and my A game is I do off of GTO when I'm playing my A game. When I have noticed one of my opponents is playing really poor and I can become exploitative, and then I can adjust those ranges. But that takes a lot of mental power, and if it's not all there, I can't do that. But clean GTO pre-flop is quite good, and I'm pretty happy that my C game is there. Flop, same thing. I think I'm pretty strong with the flop. C betting at a good frequency, check raising at a good frequency, was always where I wanted to be in most pots and I was folding at a good frequency. So even when I'm not playing my best, my flop game is pretty strong. But I noticed that I have leaks at the turn and the river, probably because I don't study them as much. I study my pre-flop and flop a lot, and I don't study the turn and river because it's harder to study. Because anytime you get to the turn and river, you have to have all the pre-flop flop play in your working memory, and then you have to make a decision on the turn. So it's a little bit more difficult. When I run through the GTO Pio solver, what I realize is there are a lot of 125% bets, and I don't use these as much when I'm not playing my A game. I get instead of throwing haymakers, which is a big bet for big value or big bluff, I start throwing little baby jabs. And although there's a place for that, I need to make sure I don't default to that in a spot where I should be throwing haymakers. So I think I missed out on value in a lot of spots because my bets just weren't big enough. And I missed out on fold equity because my bets just weren't big enough. And I didn't polarize correctly. So that's something that my C game shows up. So there's a leak there on the turn, and then the river, same thing. I was missing bluffs and value bets and not betting the right sizes. When I was at 1-3 and I made that one big, huge river bluff, an all-in shove for 2x pot with queen high, that was a really good play. I didn't do that at 2-5. I did that only at 1-3. Not sure why. Maybe I was a little bit more in tune with that hand, or maybe I just ran bad at 2-5. Either way, when you're thinking about a hand, and in my last video I talk about how you get them on a range, so you have a pre-flop range in your mind's eye. Then when the flop comes out, you analyze the flop. So king 5-2. What are the nuts? Kings, fives, twos, king 5, king 2. Are those in my range? Are those in my opponent range? What are the draws? 3-4. Are those in my range? Are those in my opponent range? What is the marginal value? And then you make an action, and then maybe they call or raise, and somehow you get to the turn, and then you have to reanalyze. And so you have to do they have these hands in their range? Now, okay, king 5-2. Now there's a jack out there. Now what are the nuts? Kings, jacks, 5-2. Do they have jacks in their range? If I bet small, maybe they do have jacks in the range, and now they have a huge hand. But if I bet small, and then now they likely had maybe a marginal king or something like that, and I have to keep them on those hands, and I have to understand what they can't have and what draws complete. And then on the river, I also have to be analyzing that too, like what big value do I have for big bets, what medium value do I have for medium bets, and what small value do I have for small bets, and then what are the bluffs that I have to find. And so there's a lot of thinking that I just do not do on the turn and river, and that needs to be drilled. So this is my C game, 2-5. I think pretty break-even player. I think through the flop, I've got a pretty strong game default, even without my best mental facilities. I did read a chapter on the zone, from Mental Game of Poker, the second book. This one's about the zone, and that when you're in the zone, it's also called state of flow. All decisions come easy. You can tap into subconscious knowledge and then make gut plays that always turn out to be right. And if you've ever been in the zone in any sport at all, like I've gotten in basketball and golf, and then that feeling is just like you can't miss. And I used to think that was random. It's not random. You can actually curate it. The book talks about how it's like cooking up a pot. Like, you put this ingredient, this ingredient, this ingredient. It's more likely that you're going to have a really good soup than if you put this ingredient, this ingredient, this ingredient, or you don't even add ingredients. So you want to keep putting them in correctly, and then you're cooking up this set of conditions that might allow you to get into the zone. And so they talk about one thing, having a strong warm-up routine. And I started that where I do pre-flop play or pre-flop drills right when I sit down. Then I analyze flops even when I'm not in hands. And then now I'm adding a cooldown. And then I also read my book every day to keep my mental tilt from showing up. I just adding a cooldown. These debriefs are a cooldown. I actually tried to put a video last night, but I had mic issues. So I'm going to be playing again tonight. This is going to be day 2 of 5 or 6. I'm down 50. Pretty uneventful night overall. Didn't run particularly well. I had pocket queens, and then ran into a set in a weird pot, and had ace queen when I called from the button against a low jack raise, and it's a queen high flop, and he bets 3 streets, and I call all 3 streets, and he has pocket kings. There are a couple other bad turns, but I missed out on a lot of big river bluffs, and there were 2 value bets I missed for maybe up to $300. So one value bet, and I'm up $250 for the night. Missed that value bet, and I'm down 50. So that's it for tonight. This is Chronically Tilted Poker, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.